Sunday, September 15th, 1963. A bomb explodes in a church in Birmingham, Alabama. 4 little girls are killed.
We couldn't believe they would kill children getting ready for Sunday school. I guess it shouldn't have been a shock.
The bomb was planted by the Ku Klux Klan. Earlier that year, young protesters marching from the church had attracted the attention of the nation by braving fire hoses, police dogs, and jail to break the stranglehold of segregation in the city. Now, 4 are dead.
The Ku Klux Klan could do anything they want to you. And to know that could happen to you, I was kind of scared. And I think I was kind of angry too.
Activists who helped organize the young protesters are devastated. To honor the 4 girls and transform Alabama, they urged Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to start a voting rights campaign in the state. 90 miles away in Selma, high school students are already taking a stand.
Walking on the freedom land. Ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around. Turn me around. Turn me around. Ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land.
My name is Charles Ballot. I am 17 years old. I'm a student leader for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. On September 16, 1963, we had demonstrations here in Selma.
Student activists target a local drugstore. Inside, a whites-only lunch counter.
And there were 4 students that gone to Carter's drugstore and asked for service. And the owner asked them to leave. One young lady was struck with a electric chiropractor by the county sheriff. I was struck on the head by the owner. Had 7 stitches applied to my head.
Nine months earlier, Bernard and Kalia Lafayette, young activists with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC for short, had arrived in Selma to start a grassroots voter registration project. It wouldn't be easy.
2 groups of SNCC workers just returned from scouting the city. They reported the white folks are too mean and the black folks are too afraid.
The Lafayettes are embraced by members of the Dallas County Voters League, a local organization pushing for voting rights. Teacher Margaret Moore opens her home to Bernard and Kalia. Educator Amelia Boynton provides Bernard office space. Most in the black community are not as welcoming.
They didn't support him at all. He was like an outsider.
Lafayette turns to Selma's youth.
They were enthusiastic, ready to go. And what I was basically doing was developing student leaders. They took the leadership. I was just giving them advice and giving them support.
If this was going to take place, the youth in Selma had to do it. Adults worried about their jobs and intimidation. And we as kids, we had no jobs to worry about.
Charles Bonner and a few classmates are the first to sign up.
One of my friends asked, "What do we need to do?" Bernard said, "We just need you to go to Hudson High and tell your classmates we'd like to meet with them at the Tabernacle Baptist Church basement."
And he began to ask us questions like, well, why can't your parents vote? Why can't you drink out of the white fountain? And I was about 14, and that was my first contact with anybody who was espousing civil rights.
I wanted change. My father would go into a store, this big, handsome, hard-working, strong black man, and I hear him be called a boy and a nigger. I was hearing this from the time I was 6, 7 years old, you know. This hurt me a lot.
Bernard explained that voter registration was going to be the key to gaining power to make the changes. The voting age was 21, so we couldn't register to vote, obviously.
Our part in voter registration was to go door to door canvassing, trying to get people to go down to register.
100 years after the Civil War, most black people in the South are blocked from voting by a powerful combination of unfair laws and rules enforced by violence and intimidation.
There were all kinds of things to keep people from voting. If they went down to the courthouse and they had a job somewhere, the man just reported to the boss and they got fired.
I asked my mother, had she ever voted? And she told me, don't you never say that out in the street. You don't say nothing like that, because you'll get in trouble.
In the early 60s, 15,000 black adults live in Selma, the largest city in Dallas County. Only 130 are registered to vote. None are registered in nearby Wilcox and Lowndes counties.
I thought our adults were really cowards. I didn't understand until the brutality started to take place that they had a fear of losing not only their jobs, but their lives.
Jim Clark is the sheriff of Dallas County.
I'm a segregationist, and I say this, if my ancestors had not been segregationists, I might be a mulatto, and I'm proud to be a white man.
Clark commands not only his Dallas County officers, but also a posse of white citizens he's deputized.
He represented that whole group of people that felt that they needed to keep black people in their place.
The same day as the Carter's drugstore protest, students staged sit-ins at other segregated establishments. Many cut school to participate in marches and protests. Teachers often looked the other way.
Mr. Anderson was the music teacher I loved so much. When we got to his classroom, he just walked to his window and turned his back, and he stated to his class, if anyone is left in this classroom when I turn around, I want you to know you're gonna flunk.
Students helped spread word of a mass registration event at the county courthouse.
My name is Avery Williams. I'm a student representative of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee here in Selma, Alabama. On the date of October the 7th, 1963, we had Freedom Day, and the state troopers told us to clear the area immediately. Chico fell to the ground, and I fell over him. So they had started hitting us with the billet sticks.
In the span of 3 weeks, 250 young people are arrested.
I don't know what I was arrested for. I was marching. I was protesting. Well, the first night I spent in jail, well, that was to put the fear in us. And you can imagine how jail was.
Weekly mass meetings help energize the students.
Everybody would be there. The church would always be packed.
It hit us that we had a voice, you know? We had a voice.
And the music was the thing that really got the people revved up. At every mass meeting, they said, we need a choir.
People were not looking for the quality of a voice, you know? We were singing ourselves out of fear.
But intimidation and arrests eventually take their toll on the protesters. The signing of a new federal law on July 2nd, 1964, that prohibits segregation in public places, however, gives them hope.
Everything that's segregated, we're gonna integrate. We're gonna go to lunch counters. We're gonna go to Carter's again. We're gonna go to the libraries. We're gonna go to where only white kids could go in. We're gonna go and drink out of the white fountains.
When Johnson signed the law, we went to the Wilbur Theater. We paid our money and went in.
It was extremely frightening because there we are in a sea of white people in the dark, a place that we've never been allowed to go before.
We got in and started looking at the movie. Then all of a sudden the lights came on and some white men came in and said, "Where are the niggers?"
An angry mob runs the black students out of the theater. While students test the new law, adults converge on the courthouse. In 5 days, 90 try to register. Only 6 succeed. More than 70 protesters, students and adults, are arrested.
We didn't stay in jail that long. We be out the next day, ready to march again.
To stop the protests, a local judge issues an order that prohibits 3 or more people associated with civil rights groups from even meeting. Public protests grind to a halt. But members of the Dallas County Voters League, led by Frederick Reese, a science teacher at Hudson High, meet secretly to devise a plan.
We felt the movement in Dallas County was going to stall. We decided that we're going to invite Dr. King to come to Selma.
The church is packed. He came from the back of the church. Everybody stood up and started singing.
Today marks the beginning of a determined, organized, mobilized campaign.
Two weeks earlier, King had urged President Lyndon Johnson to send a voting rights bill to Congress. Johnson, though supportive, says the time is not right. But King is determined to push the president to act.
Once more, we will dramatize this whole situation and seek to arouse the conscience of the federal government by marching by the thousands on places of registration all over this state. If it is necessary, we are willing and must be willing to go to jail by the thousands in Alabama to get the right to vote.
When Dr. King spoke and said it was time to move, me and some of my classmates and some of my young friends were saying, you know, all right, we were ready.
Students spread the word of a new mass registration event. 400 answer the call. Sheriff Clark orders protesters to an alley. No one is allowed inside the courthouse. Undeterred, protesters return the next day. This time, they refuse Sheriff Clark's order to move to the alley. 67 are arrested, including movement leader Amelia Boynton.
It is a tragedy when a man becomes so depraved and so sick that he will grab a woman and push and shove as if he were dealing with some wayward dog.
Soon after Mrs. Boynton is arrested, Frederick Reese calls his colleagues together.
I asked them, how can you teach citizenship? Telling boys and girls to be good citizens and you're not registered. And you're not making any attempt to register.
We were their teachers, and our students were out there sacrificing. So we thought that we should be out there too.
105 teachers gathered and marched to the courthouse.
We got ourselves prepared to go to jail. We got our toothbrushes, toothpaste, stuff like that, because we just knew they were gonna arrest us.
You can't make a plaything out of this courthouse now, this person. This courthouse is a serious place of business. You seem to think you're taking to just to be Disneyland or something on parade. And you came down to make a mockery out of this courthouse. It's not going to happen.
After he pushed us down, he said the next time he was going to arrest all of us. At that time, the superintendent called him inside. Apparently, he told Clark, if you arrest those teachers, what are you going to do with all their students?
The teachers regroup.
You have 10 seconds to get off the step. Time's up. Now move.
Though we didn't get into the courthouse, we made our point. Sheriff Clark once again made a blunder, and it will be seen around the world on the evening news.
I was across the street while they were in line, and we as students were watching them, and proud, very proud. They made a stand that day.
The teachers inspire others in Selma.
The beautician started marching. Undertaker started marching. But it came at a price. The police became more brutal, and people were constantly being arrested. But the adults and students had become a movement in Selma.
Protests happen almost daily. 450 students and 264 adults are arrested for parading without a permit. One of them is Dr. King. Selma's mayor points a finger at the protesters.
Our city and our county has been subjected to the greatest pressures I think any community in the country has had to withstand. We've had in our area here outside agitation groups of all levels. We've had Martin Luther King. They have continually harassed and agitated us for approximately 3 or 4 weeks.